Yes, exactly. And when you take the motorcycles, according to National Road Safety, they will tell you that anyone involved in a motorcycle crash is 10 times more dangerous or susceptible to die as compared to anyone using maybe a car or something. So
I chanced upon one on the motorway once time, and it was gory.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I had to report because I was more like still in the media then, so I had to report it to my media house that I was working with. The guy, it was a Christmas season too. I was heading towards him and he was coming this way. He braked, and then I think somebody from behind him kicked him, and then he landed, and the one ahead of him just crashed his head.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
It's terrible. When you tend to listen to such stories, that's why there are so many people who are not even support the idea of people acquiring motorcycles. But if you look at our traffic system, there is nothing wrong having a motorcycle or a bicycle to be able to help you maybe meet your schedules on time. But
there's been conversations about it also helping in terms of transport.
Exactly, it's very
Even
good.
The NDC was championing Okada business kind of thing, legalizing it. So where is the dichotomy? Where do we stay? Do we legalize it, or we should ban it completely, or we should streamline what is supposed to be a proper kind of transportation respect to the motorcycles?
Definitely, there are the pros and cons about that whole issue, and I think it's a bit political, so sometimes discussing it, but I think it's more of streamlining. If we're able to streamline things and make sure we have the regulations to do whatever is right, or the duty bearers sit down to do a research, get to know that okay, it's better, we approve it. I think it's more of research. They should do research, come up with the findings to see whether it will be beneficial to the state collectively or it won't, before we go ahead to implement or not to implement, to take a decision. Because I don't believe in coming up with decisions without significant facts and figures to support whatever you are doing. So between the duty bearers, I'm pushing them, embark on the research, come out with findings, speak to the populace, the citizens, that this and this was what we were able to find through our research, the economic benefits, how it's going to improve when it comes to development and the public health. Educate us, let us understand that when you are saying you want to come up with Okada, fine, you're coming, someone says, I don't want it, then we'll know that, okay, this is the reason why.
I've seen a few videos from the Asian countries, especially India, where they use a lot of motorbikes. But we don't hear, I don't know the statistics, but there are accidents and all that. And even at the north here, let's not go too far. The north, the major means of transportation is motorbikes and bicycles. I don't think we record that much of death or accidents over there. So what at all is a problem here in Accra? Maybe that has to be paid attention to more, because maybe a cluster of people around here is too many and
so you made reference to the north. You mentioned a lot of motor bicycles, so that should tell you that the vehicles are less in the northern region as compared to Greater Accra. So for Accra, for instance, we have a lot of vehicles, and even just to go back to the report that came out, I want to touch a bit on the vehicle aspect too, because the commercial vehicles, I think they chalked some successes in there because the level of accident has drastically reduced. But when it comes to the private vehicles, that was my main agenda this morning. I think it's quite terrible, and it's because people are acquiring a lot of cars, traffic everywhere, and discipline is something we can never do without when we discuss issues relating to road safety. And I believe when it is about the accident, I wouldn't only blame those who use the motorcycles and the bicycles. Some people are equally agitated because they have in their mind a perception that these guys who ride the motors, they don't respect, they don't abide by traffic regulations. And when you go to the north, there's one peculiar thing about the north. Because a chunk of them are using motorbikes, they really respect
the road traffic regulations.
Exactly. But when you come to a place like Accra, whilst it's red, and people are packed.
So long as there's another car not coming his way there,
they just cross. So I think it's a multifaceted thing. We need the surveillance when it comes to the police, a lot of education and awareness, and I think it's really beginning to sink down. People are beginning to appreciate the fact that if I'm not doing the right thing, I can die. Even before the regulators will come, I need to be disciplined enough, know that I need to wear my helmet. And it's something Street Sense has been embarking on. We have a project on the helmets. We have some of our paraphernalia in the form of stickers that we give to people that talks about all these things, to be able to put on the right riding gear so that you are protected. So
even with that, reading is an issue for people, especially those kind of people we are targeting. But let's have a take on briefly on the car accident reduction. That's about 15%. But we realize that that of the commercial vehicles are reduced, unlike the private ones.
Exactly.
There was a point in time people are advocating for carpooling, essentially meaning that I'm coming from, let's say, Kaswa. I work at, let's say, CMB, Accra. Instead of me driving all alone in my maybe four-wheel or even a saloon car all the way there, why don't I be picking people who have cars, they can park them, and then or the next day, but would that even work? That's the thing. When you see kind of a car, I was even fancy and I'm in car.
Okay, so even you can even find a household. The husband has a car, the wife has the daughter has a car. They are all heading towards maybe Accra, but everyone chooses to drive his or her car. And it's more of creating the awareness and educating people, because even looking at today's economy globally, everybody is trying to be efficient. So, and I think I've seen the ripple effects now, because a lot of people are beginning to park their cars. So that should tell you that when there is a pinch, people begin to do the right things that are expected of them. But trust me, if things normalize,
you'll go back to the usual.
And the traffic is not too dense as compared to before. And I keep telling people, people are parking their cars. There are sometimes I also believe I need to park my car. But the other issue is the public or commercial vehicles, the state of the commercial vehicles, some of the challenges associated to them is quite pushing people towards acquire their own cars. Secondly, people measure social status with maybe having a certain car.
Your business or clock, one big
exactly.
First thing is
I need to buy a car, you understand? And those are personal priorities of people, even though we can advise them that, okay, limit your expenditure when it comes to cars. But it's more of how are we going to ensure safety on our roads, and to make sure that if I'm someone who has a private car, I'm not driving in such a way that is going to cause harm to anybody or to myself. Exactly.
Awesome. Great. So now let's focus on the projects that you've embarked on. What is it about?
Okay, so we focused more on the commercial vehicles. So we had to visit some of the lorry terminals in Accra and even some part of the central region. And I think we did some awareness creation also up north. So we walk to these lorry terminals, speak to the chairman of the lorry terminals, and come up with a program more of sensitizing the drivers and their mates and even other stakeholders, including the passengers, the kind of things they need to do, talking about road regulations, and also a means to listen to them, because a lot of them, when you go there, they actually have to, it's more of helping them vent their spleen and equally take a whole lot of burden from them.
I'm curious, what are some of the things they talked about?
Okay, the bad nature of our roads, which I think this government is actually also doing well. I'm not limiting it to only this government. Previous governments have equally done well, because we all know the importance of roads to our development. When it comes to the road construction itself, then the street lights. I think we still have a bit of issues when it comes to
a bit, it's a major
issue. So it's something we should be really be tackling by now. And the surveillance issue, when you listen to the drivers, they think maybe the police or MTTD are being too harsh on them. Then we tend to educate them that, listen, the law says ABCD. Maybe it's just because we've created a culture whereby we feel, Jaimaninka. Let things go. So you also feel like you need to show an appreciation to the person for forgiving you. But that is not the right thing to do. If you are supposed to comply by the regulations, I believe that even when it comes to the private car drivers, there will be a drastic change in the level of accidents. Because there are instances, maybe the police or regulator will see a commercial vehicle. He will stop you and speak to you, but sees a private car and tell you to what? Move on. So it's one thing we should really look at. And it's evident in the reports. Because they are paying attention to commercial vehicles, the accident rate has what? Reduce. But private car, you have the leeway. If you are in your V8, you are in any sophisticated car. To pass, it's easier. You understand? So I just want to encourage them that they are doing very well, but we should pay a critical attention to the private cars. And even when it comes to the private cars, attention is taken to the DV, those who drive the DVs.
I'm struggling in my head to understand the police standing there and stopping a commercial vehicle for what purpose? Usually they want to check your licenses, your insurance,
roadworthiness, and
basically that. But does that ultimately end up in, let's say, an accident, prevent an accident happening?
Exactly. Roadworthiness, these are all components of ensuring safety on our roads. We are not saying accidents should happen, but in case you should have an accident,